When Maya first saw him, he was leaning over the hostel's chipped wooden railing, staring at the sea like he was searching for something that only the waves could answer. He had a scruffy beard, faded jeans, and a hoodie too warm for Goa's weather. He looked like every other backpacker that came and went. Quiet, maybe lost, definitely detached. She didn't think twice. At 27, Maya had seen dozens of his kind drift through the doors of Casa Verde Hostel. Some came to party, some to escape, some to find themselves. Few stayed long. None stayed memorable. She'd built a fortress around herself, miles on the outside, a strict rule of no real connections on the inside. But he was different, not in a dramatic way, in the quiet way that makes you forget he's there, until suddenly you realize you're looking for him in the kitchen or noticing his empty chair during the evening chai sessions on the porch. His name was Kian, and for the first 2 weeks, all she knew was that he made his own coffee, never hostile stuff, spoke only when spoken to, and carried a worn-out leather bag that he never let out of his sight. It wasn't until the night of the rainstorm that things began to shift. The power had gone out. Goa's monsoons were unforgiving. The sky booming like it held a grudge. Most guests gathered around candles, playing cards or drinking. Maya lit incense to calm her nerves and sat by the corner window with a book she wasn't really reading. She noticed Kian standing near the kitchen window, alone, again. Maya sighed and walked over, offering him a cup of her special ginger chai. He hesitated, then took it, nodding a soft thanks. "You've been here a while," she said. He looked out into the storm. "I wasn't supposed to stay this long." "What changed?" He gave her a half-smile. "Some ghosts are louder near the ocean." She wanted to ask more, but something about the way he said it, like the words were laced with pain, made her stop. They stood in silence, sipping chai as thunder rolled over them. After that night, things changed. They began talking in the mornings, casually at first. She learned he was from the UK, used to be an engineer, used to have a life that looked perfect from the outside, used to love photography, used to... Everything he said was in the past tense, but he never told her why, and she never asked. They spent evenings walking down the beach, not always talking, but somehow always feeling. There was something magnetic about his stillness, like he made space for others just by being there. One night, she found him by the campfire, staring into the flames. "What's in the bag?" she asked, smiling. He looked startled, then quiet, then, "Everything I've been running from." Maya laughed nervously. "Cryptic much?" Kian looked at her, and for the first time his eyes weren't just sad. They were haunted. "Wanna see?" he asked. They sat on the floor of the shared lounge, long after everyone had gone to bed. He opened the bag carefully, almost reverently. Inside were letters, dozens of them, worn paper, some unopened, and photographs, hundreds, maybe thousands, Polaroids, prints, black and white color, each one capturing people, places, memories like frozen time. He handed her one, a woman, laughing, her eyes so alive they looked like they could speak. "My wife," he said, voice cracking, "was... Maya didn't move, she died, 2 years ago, car accident. I was supposed to be there. I wasn't. I was too busy trying to close a deal in Singapore." He pulled out a letter. "She wrote this the night before she died. I never read it, couldn't, still can't." Silence swelled between them, not awkward. Heavy, aching, real. "I sold everything, quit my job. I've been traveling ever since. Not really living, just moving." Maya's chest tightened. Not out of pity, but recognition. The kind that comes from knowing your own version of grief. "My brother died when I was 16. She whispered, "Motorcycle accident. We fought the night before. I told him I wished he'd disappear." Kian looked at her like he saw her. Not just the hostel girl, not the caretaker, but her. No more past tense, just presence. The next morning, the bag sat open on his bed. By afternoon, Kian took his first photo in 2 years. Of Maya, laughing, sunlight tangled in her hair, completely unaware he was watching. He started taking pictures of everything after that. Not just for the art, but for the memory, the laughter of guests, the smell of chai in the morning, the colors of the market. Things he'd forgotten how to notice. He taught Maya how to use his old Nikon. In return, she showed him her secret beach spot, her favorite songs, the notebooks she filled with poetry but never showed anyone. He began helping out at the hostel, fixing broken tiles, organizing events, leading photography walks. Guests adored him, but one day he told Maya he had to leave. "I can't heal in the same place I broke," he said softly. She felt her heart crumble, but she understood. "What will you do?" "I'm going to visit every person in these photographs," he said. "Return the memories, tell the stories, let them know they mattered." She'd have wanted that. Maya tried not to cry. "And the letters? I'll read hers when I reach the last stop. Maybe then I'll finally feel ready." 6 months passed. Then, one morning, a package arrived at Casa Verde. No name, just a photograph inside. It was a picture of Maya, sitting by the fire, smiling, really smiling. Behind it, a short note. "I read the letter. She told me to live. I think I finally am. Thank you for reminding me how. Sometimes the people we're meant to find aren't the ones we chase. They're the ones we almost overlook." This idea is simple, but its truth is profound. In a world that constantly rewards the loudest voices and the flashiest appearances, we are trained to pay attention to what stands out, what sparkles, what demands space. But often, the most faltering connections come wrapped in silence, walking softly through the door, asking for nothing, and offering everything. Maya almost missed Kian, like most people do with someone who doesn't announce themselves. In a busy hostel full of noise, energy, and color, he was the background, the quiet observer. But beneath that quiet was a soul carrying unimaginable weight, and in a strange, poetic way, it was his silence that reached her first, not through words, but through presence. It's easy to talk, it's harder to listen, harder still to simply be there for someone without trying to fix them. But that's what Kian did for Maya. He made her feel seen, not because he told her she mattered, but because he showed her by being willing to sit in her pain without running from it. We are so often told to chase dreams, chase success, chase love. But what if the most important people in our lives aren't the ones we chase, but the ones we gently discover? Like unwrapping a letter written in a language we forgot we knew. The connection between Maya and Kian didn't explode into existence. It unfolded, it was patient, it allowed space for broken parts and unspoken grief. And in that space, healing began to grow, not through grand gestures, but through small, quiet moments that slowly stitched the torn pieces back together. Maya had lived in that hostel for years, surrounded by transients. People came, people left. She had built walls not out of bitterness, but out of necessity. Kian didn't break them down. He simply leaned against them until she started to wonder if they were still needed. That's the power of real connection. Not to crash into someone's world, but to be so gently consistent that they feel safe enough to open the door themselves. Kian carried his past in a worn leather bag, photographs, letters, memories he was too afraid to confront. For 2 years he ran. For 2 years he moved without meaning, lived without living. It wasn't the beach or the sunshine that changed him. It was someone finally looking at him long enough to see him. Someone brave enough to ask, "What's in the bag?" And patient enough to stay for the answer. Healing doesn't happen in isolation. We heal in the presence of someone who reminds us we're still human, still worthy, still capable of more than just surviving. When Kian finally left, he didn't go to escape. He went to complete something, to return what had been scattered, to honor what had been lost. And when he finally read the letter his wife wrote, the one he couldn't face for years, it wasn't because time had magically made the pain smaller. It was because Maya had helped make him stronger. That's what love, true soul-level connection, does. It doesn't rescue you. It reminds you that you're capable of saving yourself. His note to Maya was short, simple, but it said everything. "I read the letter. She told me to live. I think I finally am." It was his way of saying, "You were part of my healing. You didn't fix me, you didn't try to, but by being who you are, by sharing your brokenness, you gave me permission to stop hiding mine. So yes, sometimes the people we're meant to find aren't the ones we chase. The ones who teach us to slow down, look closer and sit in stillness. The ones who change our lives not by walking in loudly, but by simply staying. The quiet guy in the hostel wasn't just a backpacker. He was a man learning how to breathe again, and Maya, she wasn't just the girl running the hostel, she was the one who reminded him how. Sometimes the people we're meant to find aren't the ones we chase. They're the ones we almost overlook. And sometimes the ones who seem most lost carry the maps that lead us back to ourselves. Let the quiet ones speak. They might just change your life.
Kian,